So after last week's episode about them confirming that the man in question in this Isekai'd was engaged without his knowledge, and because of that, he from at face value looked like he got engaged and cheated on her within the same night. I'm really starting to appreciate how clueless he is, and he's clueless in a pretty unique way because he's legitimately a smart character. Like, he is navigating the economic and political turmoil of this world quite efficiently. But he is truly ignorant to the fact that the more this goes on, the more that Amandra is fully convinced that they are 100% engaged and they're rushing to the wedding day faster than even she thought she wanted. But because she thinks he's being a man of action, she's getting swooned by the details. I think the only thing that saves him is some of the things she picks up on is kind of like a cock block, where it's like, okay, he's not actually taking me on a date, insert ugly face. Okay, he's not actually talking about me, insert ugly face. But I would not be shocked in the slightest if within the next few episodes, he gets an invitation, he shows up, dressed to impress, ends up saying I do, and is still completely ignorant to the fact that he might be officially married. I think what I'm growing to really appreciate in anime characters are the sort of dumb characters that aren't actually dumb as a whole. Their entire existence isn't stupidity, but there's such an overlooked point of view that specific thing makes them seem so brain dead. And for our boy, it's the fact that he is continuously adding to the wedding fuel, proposing, wedding glasses, just he's gonna go wedding shopping like for dresses at some point. It is comedy gold, yet that is just a side plot of him, developing the demon realm, and they're honestly doing a pretty good job in making it fairly entertaining. And I think you don't have to really be into economics and government type stuff to have a fun time, because I think they make it pretty easy to digest, as seen by how they helped a food stall that was about to shut down and they revolutionized their business. Now, of course, if you want to support my work and see my full thoughts on these episodes, we do have the Patreon where we got the full live reactions available exclusively if you're so interested. So let's talk about the problem of this week. So it starts off with them like going through the market, kind of examining the food stalls. They start talking about how like there's a bit of an issue with pricing right now, and it's not even because like the food vendors are like they're greedy. It's like, well, if the people who sell them the ingredients to do it mark up the price, then they are forced to mark up the price themselves, because ultimately if they're buying it for more expensive, they have to sell it. They just need a couple CEOs to no longer be around, is my advice. But I love the idea that that's like the expectation of the episode. I thought like it was like that was going to be the primary focus, and it still was a relevant thing, and it ties together by the very end with the whole idea of, maybe some trading with gold. There's this one area that's very gold rich, and it's like, well, what do we have of value, and insert the technology that they made. And I like kind of the Demon Lord's point of view is like, yeah, technology can be stolen, but talent can't, because they still have the talent that produced it. And I thought that was just such a smart thing to say I don't know, Demon Lords wouldn't normally talk like that, so I appreciate how like intelligent. I'm kind of buying in more and more to people's thought that it could be another human underneath that, but time will tell. But I like how the main plot point of this episode was there's this like rat couple. I'll be the first to admit that if I was isekai'd into these worlds, I might be racist. Now, I'm not racist towards human, but I'll be honest, rat people, I wouldn't eat their food. Maybe that makes me a bad person, but I digress. So they have like this food that, I'll be honest, didn't look appetizing to me. And it's not necessarily even just like the shape and color. It just like it looked like a doughy texture and just didn't seem appealing. But unfortunately, their business is kind of shit out of luck. So they had a massive order, and the dude in question was like, don't need it anymore. Didn't realize it only lasted a day. This is why you always get your deposit up front, so if they try to pull out of the deal, you're not out of your ship. I thought the solution was just going to be a freezer, because pretty much every food in existence can be frozen. Like, there's very few things that can't. So I thought they were just going to introduce the concept of freezing food. You just freeze it. Like, maybe the Demon Lord, buys all the food and maybe hands it out as, lunches or something. I don't know. I thought that was going to be the thing. No, instead, we repurpose and we set them up for success long term. So their customer base was all elderly people, but even the elderly people were now like not really buying it anymore. So given all the young and hip crowds out in the general market, they repurposed it and made it a lot more visually appealing. And I gotta be honest, it worked on even me. The first version of that, I wouldn't want to try. The second version, I'm like, maybe I actually would give that one a go. Really, just a little makeover will do a big thing. Like if you show someone 2 plates of food and they are objectively the same food, but one looks visually appealing and one looks plain and boring, which one are they going to go to? Self-explanatory. If you're competing with multiple food vendors and other people, do you want the plain thing that's been around for decades, or do you want the new and improved? And I love too, because most of these people never even tried the food. They're like, oh, I thought this was for old people, but look at how festive and colorful they are. It's like, it's a pretty genius way. And I do appreciate that every episode, the problems in question, whether it's, negotiating with tribes, whether it's dealing with the technology of, propelling and getting rid of forces that were trying to ruin crops or even attack the demi-humans and stuff. The demi-human demon, divide is slowly shrinking because of all these small little influences, giving a group of people who can't use magic a piece of technology that almost gives them a similar appeal of magic, or the idea of this type of food normally wasn't ate by maybe demons and demi-humans alike, and now the barrier. And I mean, food is a very interesting way that even in our own world, cultural divides can honestly shift. I mean, there's plenty of cases where, a lot of hostility and they bond over the other culture's cuisine. It does happen. And I think it's a really clever way that they're going about this. And my favorite part of the show is hands down the growing marriage. I think it's just funny the longer it goes on. And while I do think she was insane for thinking it was wedding glasses, I can't completely fault her for assuming so, given the I was just proposed, and every time I kind of speak of different things, I don't really get shot down as we're not engaged. I think the biggest fumble she had was when the merchant was like, oh, are you guys on a date? And she's like, no, we're here on business. Girl, you should have said, no, we're not on a date, but we are engaged. Then maybe the misunderstanding would go away, but I'm glad it's going. I'm just so happy they're continuing the bullshit. It is probably one of the greatest misunderstandings I've seen in the past year. And if this man unironically ends up at a wedding ceremony, and because wedding ceremonies probably will look different than the human world, and he says I do, or the equivalent, there's going to be talks about us moving in together at some point, and he'll come up and be like, yeah, I guess it would make sense. It would make traveling time easier. You let me know your thoughts on this week's episode. I wouldn't say it was anywhere close to being the best out of the 5, but I thought it was still a very enjoyable episode and keeps the spirit of the show alive. But your thoughts? Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Devin Mitchell, Tony X, Spectra, and we also have Monty7, so I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.